Introduce myself first. My name is Tiffany Spurry. I am Vice President and Chief Compliance Officer at AMD, based in Austin. And then I'd like to invite the other judges here with me today to introduce themselves.
Thanks, Stephanie. My name is Sagar, and I'm the co-founder of Blaze Power here in Los Angeles.
Hi, I'm Tanya Parrish. I work in communications and I work for an automotive trade association in Washington, D.C.
Okay, great. So let me read some opening comments for the team before they get started on their presentation. So just to remind everybody, in this part of the competition, you're taking on a fictional business identity and assigning a fictional business identity to the judges. Please make sure everyone knows who you are and who they are before you begin. You will have 25 minutes to describe the legal, financial, and ethical dimensions of the problem and to recommend a solution that passes muster on all three counts. During this time, teams will be uninterrupted. When you're finished, the judges will ask you questions for 10 to 15 minutes. And during that Q&A, both you and the judges will stay in character. After the Q&A, we can break character and the judges will give feedback outside the bowl. So with that said, is everybody from Global Solutions ready to get started?
Good morning, esteemed members of the PepsiCo Board of Directors. On behalf of Global Solutions Consulting, we are here today to draw attention to the rainbow of risks associated with continued use of harmful artificial dyes in bottled beverages. First, we'd like to introduce ourselves. I'm Tony Espinoza, Global Solution Consulting's Health Analyst.
Good morning. I'm Jillian Dabrowski, and I'm the Market Analyst.
I'm Jason Buller, and I'm the Brand Analyst.
I'm Mateo Morales, and I'm the Regulatory Analyst.
And I'm Camila Forte, the Financial Analyst.
Our agenda today is focused on 6 key areas. First, we'll discuss Sustainable Development Goal 3, SDG 3, and a proposal for PepsiCo. Then, we'll delve into why PepsiCo is the ideal candidate for our proposal. Next, we'll examine the potential threats facing PepsiCo in the current market landscape. Following that, we'll highlight the abundant resources at PepsiCo's disposal. Afterward, we'll explore the additional benefits that our proposal brings to PepsiCo. Finally, we'll conclude by looking forward to the potential outcomes and next steps. Let's begin with our first topic, SDG 3, and a proposal for PepsiCo. I will pass it on to Jason to introduce our SDG and solution.
Thank you for the introduction, Tony. Today, we present a solution aligning with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 3, focusing on PepsiCo's influence in promoting well-being. Leveraging PepsiCo's market influence and commitment to sustainability, we address concerns over artificial dyes in their beverages while capitalizing on market trends towards healthier options. We aim to tackle pressing concerns surrounding artificial dyes in your beverages while simultaneously capitalizing on the growing market demand for healthier choices. Through strategic acquisition and forward-thinking initiatives, we believe PepsiCo can lead not just in profits, but in purpose. Today marks a pivotal moment as we explore how PepsiCo can continue to be a catalyst for positive change on a global scale. Now, let's delve into why PepsiCo stands out as a pivotal player in driving positive change in the global market. PepsiCo isn't just a household name. It's a global leader in snacks, foods, and beverages, operating in over 200 countries around the world. With over 1 billion daily worldwide touchpoints, PepsiCo extends far and wide, touching the lives of consumers across the globe. In the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2023, PepsiCo reported a staggering $91.6 billion in revenue, solidifying its position as the target food and beverage business in North America and the second largest globally. This financial strength equips Pepsi with the unique platform and responsibility to flex its brand presence and market influence to drive meaningful change. But it's not just about the numbers. PepsiCo is committed to providing healthier offerings to consumers. We recognize how you've made this commitment and want to help ensure that your commitments are met with a nuanced understanding of the implications of shifting from artificial dyes to natural coloring in your operations. By harnessing the strength of your brand and commitment to innovation, you can continue to lead the change towards a future where healthier choices are not just an option, but a way of life. Now my colleague Jillian will introduce our proposal.
Thank you, Jason. Our proposed solution is for Pepsi to transition from sugary and artificial colored beverages to beneficial beverages, including vitamins, minerals, and electrolytes that will positively impact customers. Pepsi must strategically introduce these products to ensure their success. This is not only a smart business transition for Pepsi, considering changing consumer trends, but it is in their best ethical and legal interest. This presents a unique opportunity for Pepsi to become an industry leader in transitioning to beneficial beverages for their billions of daily customers. Now I will pass it over to Matteo to share those growing customer concerns that I mentioned.
Thank you, Jillian. Now I'm going to talk about the rising consumer concerns related to artificial dyes. As consumers' preferences and desires continue to evolve and change, we're actually starting to see a movement away from those artificial dyes due to the potential and correlated risks that are associated with them. For example, one of the most widely used food dyes in the industry, not just by your company, but by most of the food giants out there, is Red 40. Now, we know Red 40 contains aniline, but what most are unaware of is that aniline is actually soluble with alcohol, benzene, and chloroform, which basically means they can be mixed together in a perfectly homogeneous substance, which can be toxic. Red 40 also contains 4-aminobiphenyl, which has been found to cause cancer in the bladder, and by the FDC, and is also found in aniline. Now, p-cressidine found in Red 40 is anticipated to be a human carcinogen. However, the results from the FDC were inconclusive in humans, but it was confirmed to cause cancer of the liver, mouth, and bladder in rats of both sexes. Our team has also found that yellow 6 in many of your drinks and snacks. Now, although yellow 6 does not have any toxic effects and was negative in 6 genotoxicity reports, it does have lesser effects such as anxiety, hypersensitivity, ADHD, especially in children. Yellow 5, also known as tartrazine, however, has more adverse effects as it is a carcinogen. It can also cause irritation of the skin and intestines, as well as severe allergies. Now, the biggest concern our team has found that consumers feel is the level of benzidine that can be found when using artificial dyes. It is a known carcinogen that contains many contaminants. Now, although the FDA has tried to put limits on the amount of benzidine found in production, Red 40, Yellow 5, and 6 have been known to turn into benzidine within the body upon ingesting the dyes. So it is a growing concern within the consumer marketplace that natural dyes are used in place instead of artificial dyes. Now, my colleagues Jillian and Camila will explain a bit more about the threats facing the bottled beverage industry that directly impact PepsiCo.
Thank you for setting the stage, Matteo. We'll be discussing threats to PepsiCo, including the growing craft soda sector and the evolving legal landscape. Not only have consumers been cutting out unhealthy beverages, but they've also been looking for beverages with benefits. Olipop is a newer beverage company that launched in 2018 and is known for replicating iconic but unhealthy drinks like Pepsi's Starry, Dr. Pepper, Mug Root Beer, and Crush. Olipop is a favorite among Gen Z with a 223% increase in gross revenue in 2022. And their gross sales were at $100 million in the first half of 2023. Olipop is a serious competitor in the beverage industry, already surpassing A&W Root Beer. The charts compare the revenue of Pepsi in red to Olipop in blue. Pepsi's revenue is much higher in the billions, while Olipop's is in the millions. However, by comparing the charts, we can see the dramatic growth of Olipop. From 2021 to 2022, I mentioned how Olipop had a 223% growth, and in this same year, Pepsi only had an 8.7% growth. Olipop is a fast-growing company that benefits from healthy, copycat recipes of Pepsi's products. Pepsi has opened this opportunity for companies like Olipop to emerge because of their dwindling grasp of consumers' changing values. Transitioning to beneficial beverages presents Pepsi with the opportunity to secure its position in the market and maintain its relevance in the face of evolving consumer values. By leveraging its existing success, Pepsi can provide existing customers with an alternative, healthier choice while simultaneously attracting new customers seeking wellness-oriented options. Now I'll pass it over to Camilla to discuss the evolving legal landscape around artificial dyes.
Thank you, Jillian. Today, we will be delving into a critical aspect of PepsiCo's strategy, navigating the evolving legal landscape around artificial dyes. As PepsiCo faces regulatory threats from trends such as the banning of Red 40 in the UK and Switzerland, and the prohibition of Red 3 dye in California, the company must stay ahead of the curve and proactively adapt to emerging trends in the ever-changing landscape of food safety regulations. Set to be implemented in 2027, the California Food Safety Act will prohibit the manufacturing, distribution, or sale of potentially harmful food additives, including red dye number 3, potassium bromate, and brominated vegetable oil. California often sets trends in health-related legislation, and as consumers become increasingly savvy about the ingredients in their food and beverages, other states may follow suit. The momentum around food safety is undeniable, and PepsiCo must anticipate these shifts rather than play catch-up. In response to growing health concerns, both the UK and Switzerland have implemented bans on Red 40, a synthetic food dye that is commonly used in various products. This regulatory action reflects a global trend towards stricter food regulations and underscores the need for companies like PepsiCo to reassess their ingredients and adapt accordingly. Now, as we shift our focus to PepsiCo's resources, let's explore how these assets can empower the company to lead the industry in embracing natural dyes and healthier alternatives. I'm excited to discuss how PepsiCo's robust resources can aid in further positioning you as a leader in the food and beverage industry by using these natural dyes and healthy alternatives in your products. Let's start with your commitment to innovation through research and development. PepsiCo employs a large team of scientists, technologists, and engineers who conduct research aiming to answer key questions about human nutrition and physiology, including the efficacy of the current products and ingredients and potential future innovations. Your research and development team works diligently to shape PepsiCo's future by delivering innovation for your extensive food and beverage portfolio, while also developing solutions to systematic problems that PepsiCo faces in both nutrition and sustainability. These existing R&D capabilities, coupled with PepsiCo's financial strength, provide a solid foundation for investing initiatives like transitioning to healthier alternatives. With a net income of $9.74 billion in 2023, PepsiCo demonstrates not only consistent growth and profitability, but also financial agility to support these strategic initiatives. For instance, the strategic acquisition of Quaker Oats Company and SodaStream exemplify PepsiCo's strategic vision and financial strength in driving long-term value creation. Furthermore, their financial strength further enables them to invest in efficient supply chain operations. PepsiCo delivered an impressive financial result for 2023 with a 9.5% organic revenue growth, bringing the 3-year compound annual organic revenue growth to 11%. This means that your significant organic revenue growth rates, coupled with the expanded core growth and operating margins, signify PepsiCo's effective cost management strategies and strong market positions. PepsiCo's brand recognition is unparalleled in the industry. Brands like Pepsi, Gatorade, Fritos, and Lay's enjoy strong customer loyalty and market presence. Through these strategic marketing campaigns, celebrity endorsements, and a consistent focus on the brand salience, PepsiCo has maintained its position as a leader. This brand strength not only drives consumer preferences, but also creates opportunities for PepsiCo to introduce new products and initiatives that align with these evolving consumer preferences. Additionally, the trickle effect of this brand recognition allows PepsiCo to influence consumer choices and drive market trends toward a more sustainable and health-conscious alternative. Now, as we hand it over to my colleague Mateo, who will be taking over the discussion on how innovative ideas like Crystal Pepsi, despite facing challenges in the past, reflect the glowing trend towards healthier alternatives in today's market.
Thank you. We have all heard the saying time and place. And in your case, Crystal Pepsi back in the 90s, it was a great innovative idea in the wrong time and place. The product had struggled with marketing and pricing that made it difficult to really break into that new market segment. Not to mention the lack of classic color and different ingredients made it less appealing to your audience. However, as my colleagues have mentioned, like with Olipop, there is an increase in healthier, cleaner alternatives. A line of Pepsi with no dyes or even made from natural dyes is part of a growing market segment that a giant yourself could easily capture. Although Crystal Pepsi in the past did not work out in the market, consumer preferences have changed, and our team feels that something like this would be a perfect alternative for your company. And it could even save you money, keeping the same great taste with no dyes at a reduced manufacturing cost. I'm going to turn it over to Jillian now, where she will explain the benefits of appealing to new markets and health-conscious customers.
Thank you, Mateo. Pepsi has the resources to switch to natural coloring. This transition will not only remove harmful chemicals, address the threat of the growing craft soda sector, and aid in your progress towards your ESG goals, but there's also new opportunities for Pepsi's growth. By introducing a healthy beverage to your product line, you can appeal to health-conscious consumers and enter new markets. About 3 out of 4 customers say that it's important that their food and drinks are 100% natural. Today's consumers are more conscious about the ingredients and effects of their beverages. Newer generations are not only looking for clean ingredients, but beneficial ingredients like vitamins and minerals that will promote their health. Prioritizing the values of newer generations who have their whole life of purchasing ahead of them is a smart financial decision for Pepsi. If Pepsi allows for this gap in the market, it will continue to lose customers to innovative and health-conscious companies. Introducing a new healthy product line will broaden Pepsi's market scope, but also extend your accessibility. By offering a healthy drink option, Pepsi opens doors to distribution channels like Whole Foods, which is known for its commitment to high-quality ingredients. You can start to sell products in fitness centers and health-conscious establishments where conventional sodas might not align with your consumer preferences. By strategically adapting to evolving consumer trends and diversifying your distribution channels, you can enhance your market presence and appeal to health-conscious consumers, positioning yourself as a versatile player in the beverage industry. This move allows Pepsi to access a demographic prioritizing wellness and clean living, paving the way for continued growth and success. Now, Jason will share how you can stay proactive in the food and beverage industry.
We commend the progress you've made already in switching from artificial to natural dyes. Here, you can see a screen grab from a supplier sourcing page looking for natural color alternatives for PepsiCo's various product lines posted this year. However, to be fully successful in these endeavors, we emphasize that PepsiCo must fully commit to using natural coloring in their food and beverage products. Perhaps setting a goal for when all products will be dye-free can catalyze this transition. We recognize that the transition from artificial to natural dye products can be achieved through alternative initiatives. Strategic products placement and acquisition can help promote healthier beverage choices, as well as adapting a future-facing lens in pursuit of launching new product lines. This isn't new territory for PepsiCo. Adaptability is ingrained in your company's DNA. You excel at navigating trends, keeping your product lines relevant, and aligning your operations with evolving consumer preferences for healthier options. Take, for instance, the tortilla chip snacking segment. PepsiCo has a track record of meeting consumer trends head-on by strategically placing new, healthier products alongside your legacy brands. A prime example is the successful integration of Doritos and Santitas, where you recognize the growing demand for healthier, more natural snacks and took proactive steps to adapt. Reflecting on broader industry trends, such as the surge in popularity of natural tortilla chips with a staggering growth rate of nearly 20%, we see parallels in the bottled beverage sector. Consumer surveys conducted by the Food Industry Association indicate a strong desire for healthier eating habits, echoing the demand for beverages that offer nutritional benefits and align with wellness goals. Just as natural tortilla chips outpace conventional ones, consumers are increasingly seeking bottled beverages that provide low sugar, natural, and functional alternatives. In response to consumer preferences and market dynamics, PepsiCo and Frito-Lay's recognized the imperative to adapt. With Doritos sales on the decline, you took proactive measures to remain appealing to your audience. Your strategic acquisition of Santitas, a whole grain, lower sodium tortilla chip option placed alongside Doritos on store shelves, not only preserved sales, but also promoted healthier lifestyle among consumers. This move not only underscores PepsiCo's ability to adapt to evolving trends, but also advances your environmental, social, and governance goals by promoting healthier lifestyles and addressing evolving preferences for better for you options. Now, I'll invite my colleague Jillian to delve into a proposal encompassing these suggestions.
Our proposal is for Pepsi to create a new line for each of its beverage brands. This includes altering the existing recipes by eliminating harmful dyes, switching to natural coloring, and adding beneficial ingredients. Let's take Gatorade, for example. Gatorade is Pepsi's beverage that is most likely to attract health-conscious consumers. Since people are comfortable with the Gatorade brand, they'll be willing to try a new product from Gatorade. However, Gatorade has all three of the harmful dyes we've previously mentioned: red 40, yellow 5, and yellow 6. By abruptly changing your recipe, you risk losing customers. Introducing a completely new product line has the risk of failing due to lack of recognition. You can start by introducing a new line of Gatorade drinks that are not only made with clean ingredients, but beneficial to customers, including elements like probiotics, vitamins, and minerals. Once distributed, Pepsi must place these products near the existing products to gain customer trust and support for the new product. Based on consumer trends and competitors' data, we believe that over time, this new line will outshine the original Gatorade. Both Pepsi and its competitors will continue to adopt this strategy for their other beverages, in turn positively impacting the health of their billions of daily worldwide customers, all while indirectly working towards fulfilling SDG 3, good health and well-being. Now I'll pass it on to Camilla.
As a consulting group, we see tremendous potential for PepsiCo to leverage its existing resources and become a leader in using natural dyes and healthier alternatives. Making this transition offers PepsiCo numerous benefits financially, ethically, and legally. Firstly, the shift towards healthier options provides revenue stability, risk mitigations associated with negative perceptions, or regulatory challenges related to sugary beverages, opening up expansive opportunities for market, capital, and portfolio expansion. On the legal front, PepsiCo's proactive approach to regulatory compliance, consumer protection laws, and health concerns associated with these artificial additives is integral to its legal strategy and business sustainability. By anticipating shifts in legislation and offering these healthier products, PepsiCo ensures adherence to regulatory standards, minimizing the risk of fines or penalties and safeguarding its financial stability and reputation. Finally, by prioritizing consumer health and wellness, PepsiCo demonstrates its commitment to responsible corporate practices and environmental sustainability. This shift aligns with consumer expectations for transparent and ethical product offerings, fostering trust and loyalty among customers. Moreover, reducing the use of artificial additives and embracing natural ingredients contributes to a healthier food ecosystem, supporting broader societal goals of promoting well-being and reducing the environmental impact. Finally, presented by Jillian, let's explore the actionable steps we recommend that we strongly advocate for your immediate strategic transition from artificial dyes to natural coloring.
Global Solutions Consulting strongly advocates for your immediate strategic transition from artificial dyes to natural coloring in your products. By embracing natural coloring, you can enhance your brand reputation, drive healthful innovation within the industry, compete with and capture new market segments, and fulfill your ESG mission to promote a sustainable food system to your billions of daily customers, all while getting ahead of the evolving legal landscape, catering to changing consumer values, and contributing to the global promotion of SDG 3, good health and well-being. It is time for PepsiCo to lead the industry in prioritizing health, sustainability, and consumer well-being. Here are our sources. That concludes our pitch. Thank you for your time. We look forward to answering any questions you may have.
Well, thank you. It was a great presentation. Can you explain how any of these initiatives that you're talking about will affect maybe our annual ESG report that we put out?
The initiatives that we're proposing is a transition from artificial dyes to natural dyes, and this would be implemented into the ESG reports that the board is currently distributing. It's another factor that consumers are increasingly paying attention to, so they're going to want to recognize that PepsiCo is reducing the amount of artificial dyes used in their products. And then this in turn will help benefit SDG number 3 in promoting good health and well-being, as we discussed earlier, that there are negative implications of using these artificial dyes. So it has materiality to the ESG reports. It's just a matter of taking the steps to start transitioning, and then it would be relevant to start including them in the report.
Okay, and can you remind me, your presentation did include a lot of data, which was very good, but remind me, what's the bottom line in terms of how following proposals is going to benefit our bottom line?
So the bottom line for Pepsi is that you're going to increase sales and attract new customers. So like I talked about with Olipop, they're taking up a big piece of the market segment, and Pepsi is losing that market segment where consumers are changing from sugary, unhealthy drinks and focusing more on beneficial beverages like Olipop. And so by changing their recipes and adding new benefits, Pepsi can attract these new customers that some healthier alternatives have taken away from them.
I have a question about implementation, especially with retail partners such as Costco, where I believe Pepsi is found in the vending or the soda fountains at the cafeteria. Have you thought about timelines for this transition there? Would you have both the healthier product and the current product at the soda fountain at the same time, or would it be a switch? And do you think that your retail partners would be open to that?
Yeah, so the timeline wouldn't be a switch all at once. We realize that to have this type of change, you need to have it slowly implemented. That's why we propose that Pepsi followed the same strategy that Frito-Lay's did with putting Santitos whole grain chips next to Doritos in the store aisles. This one increases consumers' choice and it exposes them more to the healthier options. So the same idea would be implemented in Costco, like you mentioned. Pepsi's new product lines, like the Gatorade that Jillian covered, which would be dye-free, and even reintroducing Crystal Pepsi would just be reintroduced to stores and put on shelves right next to the legacy products. And then the idea is that over time, because consumers are voting with their dollars and turning away from foods that are loaded with these additives, Pepsi will just begin reinvesting that money into their products that are doing well without the use of dyes.
Thank you so much. Great presentation. And you provided lots of data. I had two follow-up questions. When you proposed this solution to PepsiCo, have you identified reliable suppliers of natural dyes capable of, meeting PepsiCo's vast production demand? And how can PepsiCo ensure that the changes in the taste, let's say the vibrancy, the color stability, and the taste profile of its product will be maintained when they transition to natural dyes?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we did do some research on companies which are providing natural dyes. Pepsi is in the process of locating suppliers that have natural dyes, and the key description of these suppliers is that they want the dyes to kind of have the same color of their legacy products and have a similar taste profile. And this really comes down to the companies that are creating these dyes and how they're able to fit Pepsi's standards. There are several companies that do produce natural dyes at a large scale, and some of Pepsi's rising competitors do use them, which we'll talk about in our 10-minute pitch. But and like one of them that I can remember off the top of my head is CHR Hansen. But that's to the extent I can answer this question.
Thank you.
Do we have any more questions from the judges?
Yeah, just did you do research into Coca-Cola, and are they looking at any initiatives like this or already implementing them, let alone locating suppliers?
Currently right now in Europe, they have also banned some of the dyes like a red 40. And Pepsi has adjusted their products to reflect those new changes in regulation. California is one of the states that we talked about that are taking steps to start making those changes as well in their state. Another way that they were giving consumers awareness of the fact that there may be some dyes within their food, like their drinks or their chips. Like especially in Mexico, Pepsi would put a sticker in the front of their product stating that these do contain dyes as a warning label.
That was
So, adding off
Pepsi?
to Mateo's point, basically Coca-Cola is more focused on its sustainability packaging instead of its what we see as Pepsi's goals, which is lowering calories, the grams they use, and more health oriented instead of sustainability oriented. So we do see that gap between both Coca-Cola and Pepsi. So if Pepsi were to adapt the strategy, it would take over the leader of Coca-Cola, since it does expand the portfolio of its food and beverage. Also, Pepsi does already have a sort of situation that helps us, which is Pepsi Max, which is presented in, I think it was in Switzerland or UK, which is basically no sugar. I think it was calorie-free, everything. That it's the only soda that is permitted there, and that is one of the few countries that have accomplished this UN sustainability goal by using, and this is one of the things they do, which is they just limit the sodas to 0 calories, 0 sugar additives. So imagine if you do have a natural dye soda with 0 calorie and 0 sugar, it would become ultimately a lot more healthier for a lot of countries that could help further accomplish the goal.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying thanks.
I do have a follow-up question on that. You cited some general trends, and you also gave us the example of Gatorade. How can PepsiCo ensure demand exists within its specific consumer base for this change before a broad implementation? What if people do not like the taste of the new dye or the new flavor? What if there's a pushback on this?
I think that for Pepsi, the goal for the transition would be to not change the flavor at all, because like we've seen in previous examples, that consumers associate the color of something a lot with the taste of it. So we would have to, like Jason said, in the competition that they're currently holding, looking for natural coloring, they're making sure that the recipe doesn't change, that the flavor stays the same, and the color is identical or very similar at least. So that way consumers can barely tell a difference. There's probably just going to be like a little bit of a name change that implies the benefits in the beverages instead of it looking completely different, because that might throw a lot of consumers off.
And my second question was, what if there's a pushback on this? What if people do not like this new product line?
all of the trends going toward like consumers focusing more on healthier lifestyles and products that are giving them extra benefits, we have confidence that these products would be differentiated from other bottled beverages on the market. And in turn, it's a great opportunity for Pepsi to capitalize on, and it would be wise to stay with the trends that we're seeing across the industry, in which companies that are selling more natural health-based products are having increased revenue growth and quickly expanding, as in the case with Olipop that Jillian covered, with over 200% revenue increase between 2022 and 2023.
Thank you.
And sorry, also adding on to that, from a financial perspective, if there's a pushback, obviously there's not a pushback right now in the market, especially with Gen Z, and especially after COVID, with all of these new health cares and mental health and this growing concern around what is the healthy lifestyle for people. So if there were to be a pushback, PepsiCo could potentially hold off pullback from the market with their already immense revenue and gross margin. Obviously, that is not the goal. And if there was, the goal would become to basically, they have such a big brand recognition. Like you can see PepsiCo in the Super Bowl, like that's what they're mainly do. There's the celebrity endorsements that I mentioned. Like they would definitely use their very good market division to promote these products. And I think they have already excelled in the marketing process. And a lot of people, they do have such a loyal fan base that I think the product will accordingly stick, and it will even attract new consumers, growing their revenue and profit margin.
Regardless, the Red 40 ban coming to California in 2027, it'll really push Pepsi to alter their recipe. Like I said, regardless of the trend as of right now, that'll also, like my colleague said, open up a new marketplace really for people. Like personally, myself, I don't use PepsiCo products because of the dye. I know a lot of people who don't, and I know that they would be willing to if they would take those dyes away. So that's something that to look at for sure.
And can you
And
remind
one last
me?
thing, not to mention, by changing to these healthier alternatives of like not using dyes or using natural dyes, Pepsi can actually find themselves into other retail chains like Whole Foods that will give themselves access to a completely different market segment for people who decide to shop there because of the health choices that they're making as well.
Can you remind me real quick if PepsiCo has previously changed the recipe of any of our beverages without changing the name of the product or the label on the product?
So they have not. They did change Crystal Pepsi. That was supposed to be like their healthy alternative. It did have a couple of different ingredients. It had less sugar in it. But the whole packaging, the whole branding around it was completely different. The main thing was it didn't have the cola color, that caramel brown. And it did have different ingredients, so it had a different flavor in it. The market just didn't take on it.
Quick follow-up question on that. So let's say we are pitching this to PepsiCo right now. What products are you targeting for the switch to natural dyes? Are you prioritizing, particular?
Some specific products that I would look at, especially Gatorade, because obviously growing up, we play sports, we all target Gatorade, but really it's probably doing more harm than it is good. Like I said, every single one of them has a dyes, and they have already done some of the Gatorade fits, and they do not have color. So it would be even better if we keep the color there, but use stuff like fruit and vegetable juice and beetroot powder to take away those dyes. I'd also say there's Mountain Dew Code Red. All the Mountain Dews have them. Rockstar Energy Drink has them. Certain variants of Dr. Pepper have them. So all those type of drinks, those are the ones that I would pitch to PepsiCo, tell them to target them, because those are the ones that are probably most consumed. Like I said, I think Gatorade would probably be at the top of my list because that's the one that is targeted towards athletes like we all were in college or high school, and it's probably doing more harm.
Thank you. That makes sense. And when it comes to a financial perspective, can you share some insights on the cost benefit analysis? Like the natural dyes are definitely more expensive than the regular chemicals and the regular dyes that they're using right now. So when they launch, let's say, a new product lineup, a Gatorade with natural dyes, how would this compare to the potential revenue gain in the shift?
And this will be the last question, by the way, because we're out of time.
Thank you.
So definitely in some parts using natural dyes does become more expensive, but also I did read an article that said that sometimes using natural dyes even becomes cheaper because I think it was because like the more you use, it's actually you don't have to use that much since it's like not synthetic, so it does become natural coloring, it does stick. So you would be using technically less product than you would use with these artificial dyes. Even if it does become a more, how do we say, it becomes a more like it doesn't become that cost effective when it comes to material and processing, but it does give you more profit margins since you would be able to attract a larger customer base, since as my colleague Mateo said, like you could enter the market of Whole Foods, which is a very emerging and new technology, especially around the parts of California, which would become in 2027 banned. So you would be allowed to enter these markets that are already banning these solutions. You could even implement PepsiCo in a normal state in like UK and Switzerland that already banned these dyes. You could re-enter that market, which gives you even more access in a profit and revenue wise aspect.
Okay, so that concludes our time of both the 25-minute presentation and the 15-minute Q&A. So we can all fall out of character now. And we'll take a few minutes at this point to share some judges' feedback with the team. So good job, first of all, I want to say to the team, and go ahead and relax. 25 minutes is done. I'll lead off with comments, looking at the notes that I took here. So let me start maybe with your slides, actually. I thought that the slides that you used were really well done and effective. They were simple in their design, they were clear, and they did not distract me from listening to what it was that you were saying. I wasn't trying to read a bunch of language on the slide. And that's actually harder to do than you would think, right? The less that's on the slide, probably the harder it was to create that slide. So I thought those were very well done. I really liked the summary slide that you had towards the end, where you had that chart that showed financial, legal, ethical. That was a smart thing to do because, as you know, the judges are scoring on those categories, and they provided the whole summary for us. So I think that was smart. And slide 23, I noted down, that one had like a circle on it or something. That was also a very well done summary kind of wrap up slide that helps sort of formulate the whole picture for me. So good work on that. In terms of the role, some feedback here. So, it's hard. There were some acknowledgements that we were playing the role of board of directors and that you were talking to us as the board. I mean, you referenced that we were the board. But it wasn't always consistent. So sometimes you were talking about PepsiCo should do this, PepsiCo should do that. Well, I am PepsiCo, I'm the board sitting here listening to you. So I would just keep that in mind, to keep that role really in mind, and talk to us as if you are the board of PepsiCo. To be fair, towards the end of the Q&A, I think judges started falling out of character too. We were asking, well, if we pitch this to PepsiCo, I mean, so I don't think that did you any favors there. But, earlier in the presentation, I think there was some inconsistency between the different analysts in terms of whether the analyst was talking to me as a PepsiCo member or talking to me as somebody, or talking to me about PepsiCo. So I would use some consistency there. And the other thing is in terms of how you pitch it, I think if you were really thinking about walking into that boardroom, PepsiCo members, and you really thought to put yourself in the shoes of corporate board and what a corporate board cares about, you might have made your pitch a little bit different. Like, I don't know that you would really walk into a boardroom and tell the board that their $91.6 billion of revenue is staggering. It makes it sound like, we're here because we think you're a greedy corporation. You've got these staggering profits, and here's what we want you to do with those profits. I mean, that's not really what the board is there to do, or, they have fiduciary duties and there are laws that they have to comply with. So you have to think about it from their perspective and how you pitch it to make it going to them. You did excellent on the Q&A. We threw a ton of questions at you. You handled every single one of them really well, but I thought, and you got more confident in your ability to answer them and be quickly on your feet the further into the Q&A that we got. Thought that was very well done. And then the final point I would just note, I touched on this a little bit, but persuasiveness. How to pitch that argument so that it's going to speak to what will move the board members. I think less about what ESG advocates want to see and more about what corporate board members might care about. And this is something I deal with in my day-to-day at my job. I'm the ethics and compliance officer. And so I'm constantly going to reporters, the other executives, to ask for money to do this, ethics initiative or that one. I have to make a business case, right? I mean, it's not that the board members are not good people or don't want to do good things, but they have fiduciary obligations as well. So I have to show, like, why is this a good investment? What is the return on investment going to be? So really, in order to make the argument compelling, you've got to focus on that. So I heard during the presentation a lot of focus on Sustainable Development Goal 3, and that if PepsiCo did these things to be consistent with that goal, there would be sort of this collateral effect of having, stronger brand support. I would suggest flipping that around. Say, look, we want to help increase your brand support, and here's an opportunity that we see to do that. And by the way, that's going to make you, an even better proponent of Sustainable Development Goal 3, and you can brag about that in your annual ESG report. You can get out in front of the law. It's better to have this be your initiative, your idea, and not just compliance with the law after the fact. So just things like that to think about in terms of how to make it persuasive to the audience. But overall, very well done. Sigard, you want to go next?
Thank you, Tiffany. You covered most of the points. I really liked how you gave the feedback. It was very articulate. For the team, you had a solid presentation. The slides were well done. And right off the bat, you had a clear focus. There was a compelling thesis addressing a very timely issue. And you effectively tied it to the Sustainable Development Goal 3, which added ethical weight. And it also aligns with PepsiCo's sustainability commitment. And as you rightly pointed out, a lot of these dyes will be phased out in the next few years, apparently by 2027. One thing I would suggest to you is if we are pitching this to PepsiCo, let's say the boardroom, from a consumer standpoint, it looks pretty solid talking about sustainability, but boardroom care more about the unit economics and what effect that would have on the profit and the revenues. And just giving an example, like you spoke about Gatorade, maybe just refining the pitch a bit in the future. What you can do is provide the unit economics of the Gatorade. Like, this is how Gatorade is made up of. These are the ingredients that go into it. And if we replace this dye by, let's say, a natural dye, this is how the unit composition would change and how the profit would change. And also adding a slide on how we would price these new products let's say we launch a new line of natural dyes with Gatorade, would you price it at the same price, or would you price it higher? If yes, by how much? But overall, it was a very solid presentation. I also liked the examples that you included. Specificity was good. Maybe talking something about risk mitigation, deeper exploration of potential hurdles, and some mitigation strategies can build the confidence in the boardroom. But you also had data. You had a couple of slides talking about the data and the graph. Overall, I liked it. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And I agree with what the other judges have said. And I thought in terms of persuasiveness, one thing I found really smart and that you guys did a great job of was telling the board sort of what they've already done so that it wasn't new. It was in line with what they're already doing with the Doritos chips and giving them credit for the product placement there. I thought that helped sort of avoid that, oh, you're a big corporation, but if it came a little later in the presentation, but I thought that was really well done. The other thing that came up in the Q&A was the, I think Camila, you mentioned it, it's the fact that PepsiCo or Pepsi Max is the only soda allowed in Switzerland. Did I get that right?
It's in, I know that Ireland and Finland have achieved SDG 3, and I think Norway and Ireland, sorry. And Norway, they only have Pepsi Max.
Because that seems, so they don't have like Coca-Cola products.
I think they might, but the only Pepsi product that they like is they don't have our regular Pepsi, they have Pepsi Max.
Okay, got it. That's helpful. But the other thing too, I think, is focusing a little bit on the fact that in California, this is gonna have to happen. And so being ahead of the game. One thing I think from like a marketing perspective, going back on a change does not look good. And so you wouldn't want a situation where, you see vehicle companies making promises and commitments. It doesn't go great in the media if they walk those back. And I don't think it would go great for a beverage company to do that either. So I think really figuring out how to pitch it as a commitment where it's all in. And if they don't do that, what's the risk? Can they not sell their product in California? So it kind of makes sense as a necessity to go all in. But yeah, I thought a really great job. And I really like that you had the consistent Zoom backgrounds.
Yeah, that's a great thing as well. Okay, so does the team have any questions for judges?
I don't believe we have any questions. We just want to say a sincere thank you for your time today and for all your feedback. Really appreciate it.
Okay, well, very well done. And good luck in the rest of the competition.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Stay in the room while the
Thank
team.
you.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.